So much of change feels like it is out of my control, outside of me. Please comment about this.
Yeah, I think people feel that. But I mean, I'm gonna tell another story that connects to this issue of what's happening now. What does it really mean? When I was doing the second book on Bush, plan of attack, how he decided to go to war in Iraq, which is really one of the defining, it's probably the most significant thing that has happened in the first 10 years of this century. And at the end of 2 long interviews, he's standing in the Oval Office and has his hands in his pockets. And I just asked, how do you think history will judge your Iraq war? And he took his hands out and he kind of shrugs and says, history, we won't know. We'll all be dead. Now, I go home and my wife Elsa asked, how was the interview? And I said, he answered all the questions, but the really good news is I've found the ending to the book. It is a great, endings are hard, right, Tina? How do you end it?
I mean,
here you have the
comment.
president standing there, all you're writing about, said, we won't know, we'll all be dead. So I was giving the talk in Washington after the book came out, and Hillary Clinton was also speaking. And she was gearing up to run for president. And she came up and said, I quote from your book all the time. And I said, what? And said, the ending, where Bush says, history we won't know, we'll all be dead. And I said, why do you quote? And she said, I quote so often, I think I should pay you royalties. You know, and I foolishly said, oh no, don't worry. And why do you quote that? And she said, and she got quite excited. You know, when Hillary gets into it, starts pounding her fist in her hand, and she said, well, George Bush is a fatalist. This is the, you know, it's out of my control. And I said, well, in a way, he's kind of saying, you know, I did what I thought is right, and how history's going to judge it, they'll decide. And then she says, this is true, Hillary. Tina's one of the great Hillary watchers. She says, you can't talk like that and be president. You can't be a fatalist. And then she said, George Washington would never talk like that. Thomas Jefferson would never talk like that. Bill would never talk like that. And I'm thinking, the new Mount Rushmore. Washington, Jefferson, Bill. And then I thought, we won't know. We'll all be dead.
Well done.